Okay, hello. Apologies first of all for the glasses, but I have light sensitivity, so they have to stay on. I just wanted to say the following before tomorrow. Tomorrow, MPs will debate and vote on amendments to the agricultural bill. For the first time in my 20-year campaign for trying to secure the protection of rural residents and communities from the scandalous failure by successive governments to protect us from exposure to the cocktails of harmful pesticides sprayed on crops next to many of our homes, schools, children's playgrounds, nurseries, and hospitals, there is actually something before MPs that, if adopted, could result in the necessary and long overdue protection for rural residents and communities. The new Clause 5 or NC5 amendment to the agricultural bill, tabled by Green MP Caroline Lucas, relates to prohibiting the application of any pesticide for the purpose of agriculture near any building used for habitation, any building or open space used for work or recreation, or any public or private building where members of the public may be present, including but not limited to schools, nurseries, and hospitals. Now, this appears to be the only amendment tabled for public health protection from pesticides, in particular that of vulnerable groups, as rural residents have actually been legally defined as a vulnerable group in pesticide laws since 2009. Further still, rural residents and communities will obviously include other vulnerable subgroups such as babies, children, pregnant women, the elderly, those already ill and or disabled, among other vulnerable groups, and none of whom, I stress, none of whom should ever have been exposed to cocktails of these highly toxic chemicals in the first place. Synthetic chemical pesticides were originally developed as chemical warfare agents in the 1930s and 40s, but then remanufactured as agricultural pesticides and have been used in UK farming for around 75 years and are increasingly relied upon by conventional farmers. Now, the dangers of pesticides can clearly be seen on the manufacturer's product data sheets themselves that carry various warnings such as very toxic by inhalation, do not breathe spray, do not breathe fumes, do not breathe vapour, risk of serious damage to eyes, harmful possible risk of irreversible effects through inhalation, may cause cancer by inhalation, and even may be fatal if inhaled. Those warnings are obviously expressively clear. Now, while operators generally have protection when using agricultural pesticides, such as use of personal protective equipment, PPE, which obviously we've heard a lot about in the last few weeks and months in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic, farmers will also have respirators, be in filtered cabs, whereas rural residents and communities have had absolutely no protection at all, and indeed for over 7.5 decades. The gaps in the approvals process and protection system for rural residents and communities has been raised by the campaign I run, the UK Pesticides campaign, since 2001. Then the former Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food, in a 1975 document, stated that the repeated use of pesticides, even in small quantities, can have cumulative effects which may not be noticed until a dangerous amount has been absorbed. Then this clear statement from 45 years ago shows that successive governments have always been well aware of the cumulative effects of pesticides, but again, no action has been taken to secure the health of rural families. Now, the existing evidence is simply unarguable regarding the damage agricultural pesticides are already known to be causing to both people and planet. Yet policy decisions on pesticides have to date always placed economic and financial considerations as the primary focus. Yet the overriding duty of the government is supposed to be the protection of citizens' health and lives, especially those most vulnerable. In fact, nearly 11,000 people, the majority of which are affected UK residents, have signed a petition, an ongoing petition started by myself, calling on the Prime Minister and the DEFRA Secretary to urgently secure the protection of rural residents and communities by prohibiting all crop spraying and use of any pesticides near residents' homes, schools and children's playgrounds, which is exactly the same as what the NC5 amendment provides for. The petition has been signed by a number of prominent figures, including Hillsborough QC Michael Mansfield, the Prime Minister's own father, Stanley Johnson, has signed, Caroline Lucas MP herself, the big beast of the environmental world, Jonathan Porritt, Gordon Roddick, as well as DEFRA non-executive board member Ben Goldsmith, amongst many others. As can be seen in the ongoing petition, there are many thousands of reports from rural residents and communities across the UK of adverse health effects from crop spraying near our homes, children's schools, playgrounds, etc. And with millions of rural residents exposed in crop sprayed areas, there will undoubtedly be many more unreported cases. So we would therefore urge MPs to please support the vitally important NC5 amendment for public health protection from agricultural pesticides, particularly that of vulnerable groups. Thank you.